Davis, and you're watching the Evercade Effect.
Hey everybody, thank you so much for watching the Evercade Effect, clicking on this video. This is Ed, and I wanted to give a huge shout out to everybody. We did it, we got to 2,000 subs. Thank you so much, but that's not why we're here today. So I really believe Evercade has two problems. I've been talking about these particular things for a while now when I go live on Evercast. So I wanted to make a dedicated video to talk about it. I think it's important and it doesn't get talked about enough. And they're no particular order or anything else. So let's go ahead and start. So the first one is, why when there's so many ways to play? And what I mean by this, and I get comments all the time like, oh, I can go ahead and I'll just play Genejoke games on my Raspberry Pi. Or you know what? I'm going to go ahead and play them on my Mister. Yeah, it's really accurate. Or you know what? I am so super cool because I've got this original hardware and I'll just go ahead and play it there. Okay, so let's go ahead and break that down on what the problem is and kind of how I think maybe we can solve it, or maybe what Blaze should do to solve it. So the problem is, are people out there who just really don't understand what Evercade is about. And yes, there's many different ways to play, and I've said this so many times, and it's about the physical media. It's about all these things behind me. It's about having this cool like a cartridge, right? That actually looks like a Game Boy cartridge, not like an SD card that you'd see on a Switch. Yes, I'm looking at you, Switch. And you get an instruction booklet, and it really captures that retro feel. And you get to have this like really cool collectible to put on your shelf. And yes, if you just want to play the games, play them on the Raspberry Pi, play them on the Mister, or if you happen to be super lucky or super spoiled or rich and you have a Neo Geo, my God, play it on original hardware. Play it on original hardware, right? And that kind of goes for other consoles. But here's the problem, though, is that people just don't see the value in Evercade. And I think there's a solution for it. And I'm going to talk about kind of the solution in the second one because they really go together. I think channels like myself and other people in the community, they can raise awareness of what Evercade is about. And especially like in a day and age where physical media is just like going bye-bye, it is really cool how this physical media that's collectible, that you can actually buy and order online. You don't have to hunt down to stores, and it doesn't break the bank. Yes, it's all emulation, but that's up to you if you really care about that type of thing. I know I don't. I can just go ahead and plug it into a modern television. You don't have to have a CRTV and whatnot. So yeah, basically the problem with that is people's perception. They don't understand what the device is. I don't know if Blaze has done or has the resources to do a job to kind of get the word out there, but we'll get to the solution. And this has to tie with the second biggest problem. Nobody knows about it. And I'm being dead serious. And what I mean by this is that unless you're in the retro space, you're aware that you're a retro gamer, not just somebody who's played games when they were like growing up in the early, let's say like 80s, 90s, but you're an aware retro gamer, meaning you're actively seeking some type of a way or some type of device to play retro games. You don't really know about Evercade because why? It's not in brick and mortar stores. It's not in Walmart. It's not in Best Buy. Unless, you're actively going to a retro store, you might see an Evercade, but then you're like, what's this thing? And it kind of has these mini clamshell boxes, right? You'd really have to inquire about it. And I say that because 5 years ago, I was looking for said device. And after doing much research, I finally found Evercade. At that time, it was a little bit more difficult to figure out like where to purchase it, what you should get. But yeah, the word just really needs to get out there. And my buddy Retro Rich from Making Ice Cream Productions, which by the way, you should check out his channel. He's done things where he's gone to like sports stadiums and other like different events where he just had the Evercade in his trunk and he's had like a monitor and everything set up. And then adults will come by and play it. And they're like, oh, this thing is like really cool. And it's not really expensive. And so once they know about it, it's awesome. So kind of an example, like the Game Station Pro, right? You grew up, let's say, playing Atari and those kind of games. You see you can also play some of the recharge games. You see that in a brick and mortar store. You're like, oh, this is really cool. And then you think, hey, you know what? I can just go ahead and pick this up. This is really neat. And you do more research online and you find you can like load your own games and whatnot. So that's kind of the thing. And the big problem with all this is that it's a very niche device, and I do kind of love that we have this in our own community. At the same time, I'd like the word of Evercade to get out there. So what's a solution that solves both of these problems to fix this? I think what it is that Blaze needs to go to video game events, like like Too Many Games and all that, all the big events where you can go in and they have all the different booths lined up, and just that would just be great. Not only that, but Blaze needs to go to these events. They need to make contacts with other developers, other retro game stores. They need to go to all these different fairs and events. I mean, think about it. They have a big booth set up. They go by a couple of retro game stores, maybe some places like Portland, New York, maybe even Houston, other the big cities. And then they just kind of get a conversation going with retro store owners, and they kind of look at this and like, this is a pretty cool device. It's a modern system. It's not super expensive. It plays cartridges. It's not taking away from the other business of getting, like real retro games, because those are antiques. This is another alternative way that my customers can play games without having to break the bank and get some enjoyment out of it. So I really think Blaze needs to make those connections. The general public, retro gamers themselves, they need to go ahead and they need to see it. And I think they need to connect with other retro video game stores. Maybe send them, maybe go ahead and send them over like an Evercade Alpha and a VS that they could display in their stores and have a setup. I would initially suggest a GameStop, but I'm sure a lot of you are aware GameStop is having trouble. This would be the perfect product for that, but they're kind of going the way of the dinosaur. And I really think if Blaze could just do some networking, get in various different retro video game stores, some big ones, some small ones, mom and pop shops, have more places like Songbird, Castlemania Games, sell them, get the word out where people can actually touch and look at these things and see the carts and just the awesomeness of it. I think then that would be more valuable. And let's say them putting in some R&D to like an EXP2 or a VS2 or something else really that they don't need, when Evercade can kind of go ahead and do all that now. And I've made other videos and that type of thing. It's simply just getting the word of mouth out. And it's not by just like making a post on X, making a post on Blue Sky, on social media. They really need to get into the community, kind of go over there. And I think they really need to invest some money, in particular, come over here to the States, hit hard like all the 5 big video conventions and all that, and just do their thing and just talk with other people. Yes, it's nice that there's dedicated channels like myself. There's other bigger YouTubers that do talk about this type of thing, but I think really it needs to get seen, and maybe eventually into a Best Buy or something else. So that's what I think are the two problems. That's how I think Blaze should fix it. Let me know in the comments below. What do you think? What are the suggestions that you have? And let's remember to be respectful. All right, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and leave it here. Thanks so much. Thank you, channel members, and everyone watching. Bye-bye. Thanks, Crashline, Immortal Sojourn, Amber Cummings, Joe Whitlush, Alex Groot.